Welcome to this episode of The Rise of Intelligence. In this episode, we go in depth into LinkedIn. If you're a business owner thinking, how do I expand my business internationally? How do I build partnerships with big companies? One of the biggest platforms that most Thai people are underutilizing is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great way to connect with people, but a lot of you are asking the question, how do I even begin? What do I do on LinkedIn? How do I get my profile to get reach and people interested in my profile? Today we've got an expert on the topic who has over 10,000 followers on LinkedIn and has been through the process of optimizing his profile, building up a content library, and starting to connect with people, turning them into leads, into partnership, customers, and employees in his company. We'll learn the in-depth technique to do all of that. Let's go to the episode. Welcome, Mark, to the Rise of Intelligence.
Good to be here, Alvin.
Thank you for coming. I think today is a very interesting topic that we're going to learn a lot from you about LinkedIn, how it works, and how do B2B customers, CEOs, and executives properly utilize it to expand their business. But before we get into the topic, I want to get to know you a little bit more. Can you tell me about yourself, how you started the company you're currently working on, Primal?
Yeah, so I started Primal about 9 years ago, or almost 9 years ago. We're basically an integrated marketing agency. We have services across strategy, search, performance, creative, social, and data. And I started because I was working in Australia for a guy named Nick, and I wanted to come back home. I'm actually half Thai. I grew up here.
I just found out today.
Yeah, so I wanted to come back home, and I basically took the agency to Bangkok, and we started a completely new one called Primal. And yeah, it was just wanted to be back home, and I loved marketing, so I really wanted to bring everything I knew from overseas back home and really help Thai businesses.
I think like I've been following your career for a while now, like since like 4 or 5 years ago, since the very early days of Primal. I think the company itself has grown rapidly since it started and now become one of the hallmark agencies in Thailand in terms of marketing. So you guys are doing, what's the size of the business like currently?
The team size is around 150 in Bangkok. We have a team also in KL and in Malaysia. Yeah, we help around 300 plus brands, and we've been doing this a very long time. So
okay,
yeah,
300 brands. Wow, that's good. That's a good number.
Yes,
That's a good number. So for B2B business, when we're talking about the B2B marketing landscape, what are you seeing as an important thing that a CEO or a marketer in a company, a small size company looking to expand, what should they be focused on in terms of their marketing effort?
Within B2B, you need to be able to establish trust. And what happens is we send out salespeople, and at times they can be young, not so experienced, and they're trying to sell to high-level decision makers. So the reality is that CEOs want to speak to C-level or at least one level below that so that they know that they're dealing with someone quite senior. So this is where we start to see content marketing really play an important role alongside personal branding. So this is where, CEOs, C-level, they're all posting their own thought leadership and content and industry expertise, which really positions them to be the authority on a particular topic. And what I found is that, people don't necessarily like following companies. People like to follow people. And because they follow certain people, that awareness and interest can then funnel down to the company. So if I trust you, Alvin, I will trust whatever company, whatever it is you're selling, through the companies that you have. So the idea is really to, get and mobilize leadership teams to really, because they have a lot of knowledge, right? Is to get whatever out of their head, remove the shyness, and get posting content. And if you're able to get your teams to do that together, the spread of the awareness and the network effects of engaging with each other and posting these things can really lead to really good long-term benefits of establishing authority in your market.
I see a lot of that happening actually right now. Like I think many people are familiar with CEO branding. They see figures like CK, who we've also had on the podcast. He's very good at doing branding across channel, especially in short form on Instagram and TikTok. That's where his main playing ground is, right? And then you also see Top Jirayut, who runs BitCup. He's also doing a lot of marketing on Facebook, on YouTube. He has a show that talks to other executives, and that is also his way of getting the brand across. For an executive or a CEO looking at the current social media landscape, there's just so many options to play. Like, do I do short videos like CK? Do I do long form like Top Jirayut? Or do you build a show like this to get your brand across? Like, what are your thoughts on the platform to use and how should CEOs navigate this?
Yeah, look, I think it really starts with, first of all, taking a step back to CEOs, right? I mean, or leadership teams is, what could you be doing as CEO or managing director that nobody else in your company can do? And one of those things is really, to go full branding, personal branding, promoting the company, going to events, doing speaking events, because no one in your company maybe knows as much as you do. Or is as passionate as you are, especially if you own the business too, about the different topics. So then, instead of, I've seen a lot of CEOs just kind of sit back and, okay, my team will take care of that. And, they just want to, take it easy and not be in the limelight, or it could be shyness. And, but, compared to the CEOs who are doing that, you're at a disadvantage. So when it comes to the question about which channels, right? I mean, there are so many different channels, but what makes sense in, let's say, a B2B context? And I would say all of them, because, at the end of the day, B2B, you are selling to people. And if I'm a particular person, I hang out on all channels. I have a TikTok account. I am on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. And maybe slightly older generations are not so active within those platforms. But the idea is to create content, right? So if you can shoot one short form video, you can then adjust it for the different platforms. So obviously IG, you have Reels, you want to get good at writing hooks. LinkedIn content is a bit more professional, TikTok a little bit more entertainment. But the idea is to get posting, repurpose that content, because, if I do a short form video, I can repost that to different video channels quite easily, right? And it's really just to see what kind of responses you get. For me, I really like to focus on LinkedIn. That's I just like it. I think it's quite a tough platform to get reach, but once you do, it can really work well for businesses. Yeah.
I've also personally been using LinkedIn for a long time. I think many people might not know, but like there's a lot of comment in the comment section below of how do we get all these guests on the show. And one of the ways that I've personally used is LinkedIn, right? Like LinkedIn has been my way of building the network, getting people to know us, and then also reaching out to people to connect, meet up for coffees or doing a podcast. Like that's been through LinkedIn. You're also here from LinkedIn, right? Like we got to know each other on LinkedIn. And so it's a very powerful platform to directly connect with leaders because you're able to see them, right? Like on other platform, if you build a profile, you don't know who that person really is. On Twitter or on TikTok, like you can anonymously build profiles. But on LinkedIn, people actually share where they work, what their positions are. And so you directly know who the leadership of the company is. And in that way, it's easier to navigate the landscape. So how do you use LinkedIn? Or let's take a little bit step back. Like, what is the big deal about LinkedIn? Could you share from your experience?
So the reality is LinkedIn is not as popular in countries like Thailand, but amongst the English-speaking community, it has a very high penetration. And the reason is that Thai language is not available on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can't type in Thai?
You can type in Thai, but the algorithm doesn't push it very far.
I see. That's why. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, so I hope that becomes available because that would be an amazing thing to have. So when we look at LinkedIn in general, it is the most up-to-date B2B database. And I think about why, and it's, well, that's where a lot of people go to find jobs. So what do those people do? They want to get hired. So they need a professional-looking profile, a fully updated work history, and their profile just really needs to stand out. So it's really important to have that now. And when I hire people, I immediately go to their LinkedIn profile. Or if I hear about someone, if I can't find their LinkedIn profile, I'm like,
that's
okay.
That's a red flag for you?
It's a red flag for me because I'm like, you're not, like, if you're a professional and you're working, you need a LinkedIn profile. I don't look at resumes anymore.
So how do you personally use it? Like, as Mark, the CEO of Primal, running an agency, how do you personally use it to build your business?
There are two sides. One is for recruitment. So I have an agency. It's a very people business. I also have a preference for English-speaking staff, which LinkedIn provides for me because my Thai is terrible. So if I can find staff who speak English, that works in my favor. And because LinkedIn is predominantly English, I know that candidates I can get from LinkedIn are generally, they speak English. And then if you think about, okay, well, if they speak or have some level of English, that to me is a sign of, okay, like that person's background is probably pretty good in terms of education. They have the ability to speak two languages. So this already filters a lot of candidates out of the entire pool. So that basically, helps me recruit the right people. The second thing is just for awareness around the agency, the work we do, the people we have. I post content. So I will, do a lot of industry-led pieces. I'll post about my opinions on work-life balance. These various things bring awareness to my profile, and then in hopes that I bring awareness to the agency too.
Okay.
And I know it works because when I meet people, they're like, oh, I saw you on LinkedIn. And I'm like, yeah, cool. I guess it works.
Okay.
So I don't quite have a number. I can say like, okay, LinkedIn generated, X amount of, revenue for us. But I know that we've had like leads and sales from it, definitely.
I think that's a good insight. For anybody who's watching and thinking like, I'm a Thai business owner. I've never really been active on LinkedIn. I run a company. I've been doing it for a while, sold in Thailand. What's the use of LinkedIn for me? I think when I look at it, I see like what you said, right? Like it's predominantly English speaking, but the other benefit of it is because it's predominantly English, it's also global network. Like you're not restricted to Thailand. Like you can talk to people within Southeast Asia or globally anywhere in the world. So for business owners, this is an opportunity to expand your business out of Thailand. Many people are asking the question, if I'm building a product, how do I distribute in the neighboring countries? Well, if they speak English or they have executives who speak English, it's very easy to connect to those businesses in those countries. And that's how you form partnerships, relationships, and you get to know directly who this person works for. So you can search a distribution company and find their executives on LinkedIn much faster than you would on any other platform. And this is a very good way to do outreach, which we will talk about. But before we get to any of those steps of building relationships, you have to build your own profile. to fit or to look good enough to present yourself to the world. So that's what we're going to learn. How do you build a good LinkedIn profile to make yourself credible, Mark?
Yeah, so I'll begin just by saying your LinkedIn profile is the first step, as you mentioned. And it's got to be well optimized because, seconds matter in this world and you need to make an impression quickly. And to me, a sloppy profile is a sloppy mind. So, and it's going to be the first thing people look at. So if I message you or try to connect with you on LinkedIn, like it's like adding a friend on Facebook, I have the opportunity to view your profile and then decide whether I want to connect with you or not. And if you look like someone who is relevant, trustworthy, you have much higher chances of connecting with people. Now, especially if you're doing international outreach and things like that, same things apply and they're going to be checking you out. So you just need to make sure it looks good. So I'll just walk through my profile.
Okay.
And I'll just sort of share with you the various things that I thought about when putting this together. Much like websites, we call it above the fold. So everything above basically the information that you first see as soon as you land. And most times people are going to be looking at your face, so your profile picture. You really need to take a professionally well done photo. And if you're in industries where you need to look professional, like wearing a jacket, that's something that you should do, right?
Okay.
These are just basics. Like if you were to attend a formal meeting and someone wasn't wearing a jacket or, a suit, what are the judgments that come from that?
So this is the first impression that people will have of you, so you better look presentable.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then we have the banner. So here I've chosen to have our company logo. So people just know you're associated with a particular company. And I'm basically trying to establish trust as well. So I'll put, various publications that are well known where we've been featured.
Okay.
And then up the top, I've basically put a headline, scale your revenue, not your budget. We enable high-performing brands to achieve accelerated results with a complete suite of integrated marketing capabilities, etc. Basically, I'm trying to speak to our target customer. And for Primal, we work with marketing teams, we work with brands, we work with marketing directors, CMOs. So I'm really trying to speak to that particular audience, and that's who I try to target through my profile.
Okay. So that there's like you're building credibility right on top. There's logo, there's tagline, and then also a little bit about what your business does.
Yes.
And then social proofing it with other brands that have associated or publication. Is there any trick to doing the profile photo, making it look professional? Should you have a white background? How should you style this thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, you can see this little profile here. This is actually my business partner for a different company, Reachly. But you'll see he's got the purple color.
Okay.
And basically, because LinkedIn is quite blue and white, when you have colors like purple, you really sort of stand out. And if you start to own a color and you're posting a lot of content, people start to associate that color with you.
I see. Okay. So that's a tip. Like if you have a brand color, then you can also utilize that in your profile.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I opt for less color because I know primal colors are quite prominent. So that's why I choose white here. And so below the name, you have your headline. I really like to keep it simple. What's my position? What's the company I'm at? And then what do I do? Some people put longer sentences. They put their education. They put their work experience. I know a lot of people who work at Google. They'll put like ex-Google or something like that just to try to establish some sort of trust and credibility that they have good experience.
So this is more often than not like what people will see, right? Like when you post content, this is the first thing, like your profile and then this is what they will see.
Right.
Got it.
And we also have this verification symbol. LinkedIn is now rolling out verification, so you need to like basically verify yourself with like an ID.
Okay.
And you get this little symbol here, which
Is it like the tick mark on other social platform like Twitter or
you don't pay for it.
You
It's
don't
just
pay
saying
for it.
like, hey, this is a real person. Because
okay.
a lot of accounts might be bots. There's a lot of
Okay.
spam these days. So this is saying like, hey, this is an actual real
Okay.
person's
So
profile.
it's good to get yourself verified.
Yeah. And this symbol up here is LinkedIn Premium. So that's like a paid version of LinkedIn. It's various prices per month, but it unlocks various features. But I'll go more into optimizing your profile.
Okay.
So down below, you'll have an about section. So here I say the different things I post about. You can tell that I'm really focusing on just growing a following.
Okay.
And then below, I'll say, here's my story. And if people are interested in that, they'll click see more. And I'm a really big fan of this. I think emotional connection is really heightened when you tell a good story. So if you're able to share basically your background or the highs and lows and what was the pivotal changing moment in your life that sparked some sort of revelation, and then so if you're able to tell a story, I think that really helps make you a lot more authentic.
Can we go through this a little bit? Because it was also something that was striking to me when I first went into your profile, because I actually read through all of it. And it's because I think number one, it was easy to read, like the way you formatted it, which is like one sentence after another. It's not like a whole paragraph where you then immediately feel, you don't want to read through this whole thing. Like this is easy to read, relatively easy to read. And it was also personal enough for me to get interested. You start at like your age 23, and then you're talking about your first job. Is this the trick or a way for people to connect? Like what was your thinking behind building this thing out?
Well, it's really just basic storytelling, right? I mean, all of these things are true. But it's structured in a way where it's like, okay, life was tough. Here's all these things that were going. Here were the things that I was feeling at the time. And then all of a sudden, a big change came, and I did so and so, and that led to X, and now it's become results where I am today.
Okay.
So you just really want to be authentic. You want to connect with people, and you want to resonate with people. So if there's anyone that might resonate with this, they might feel more connected to me.
Got it.
So yeah, and if they're still interested, I mean, they can really keep reading, and eventually I start to talk about the company and the different things that we do. And I think that's quite key, right? It's you want to gather interest first, and then you really just don't want to be promoting too much. Or if you are promoting, you do it last. Yeah. So it's not the primary focus. Yeah.
I see you start with a story about yourself, like how you started your career in Australia, then you moved to Thailand, and then you started Primal. And here you then go into specific metrics also about Primal to then build up credibility, right? To show that, it's a big company, it's scaling fast. What are the brands how many brands we're working for? And this is very quantitative in nature. It's also, I understand that it's key to building a good resume is also to be very quantitative in your metrics, not subjective. So people actually understand what are your success. Is this part of your thinking going into this? Is this something you would recommend people also do in their bio intro?
Yeah, I mean, if you have, I would call it proof points, right? So you want to tell your story. You want to be different, right? Because a lot of people are just saying the same things out there. And then you want to back it up with proof points and numbers, which can help solidify that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
I will add too that, if you're in a highly competitive industry, right? Like a lot of small businesses are, is you want to try and find what your unique angle is, because you want to be able to stand out from the noise. And one of the ways you can do that is through a really good story. So below that, so there's a featured section. If you want to, basically I just have one image because I want to show that, hey, we're real people, we're a team, we're high energy, and it's basically a call to action. So if I click on this, it'll actually take you to the website.
So you're mainly using so for this, what should people be thinking about in terms of their featured section? I see here you're using it mainly for recruitment, maybe, because it's work with us is the primary call to action.
Yeah.
But what are the possibilities that people could be doing it for?
Yeah, I mean, if you're really content heavy, you could be promoting your best pieces of content. Just so that it's almost like the highlight section. So like in Instagram, you can like pin posts to the top that you want people to see first. Similar concept here. You can add, I guess I'll show you. You can add a post, you can add an article, you can add links to your website or various material, and you can add media. If you want awards, you could put that in there. If you've done speaking events, you can upload that stuff. If you've been published in media where you want to establish more authority, you can include things like that in here.
I see. I will actually put up a picture in post-production here for people to see of your co-founder at Reachly. He also does this section quite well, and he has a lot of materials there also, like showcasing like there's free ebook that you can download as a call to action, or I think he's more focused now on getting clients. So for him, it's getting people to connect with him or work with him as a brand, right? So you're more focused on recruitment. You can also do it more focused on B2B clients, like getting more customers.
Sales, yeah, 200%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this featured section, instead of work with us, it could be like, speak with the team or hire us, something along those lines is a more sales call to action.
So if you want people to distribute your product in other country, you could also use that as a call to action.
Right.
In this section.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and this section below is just activity. So, I mean, if you're posting, commenting, those things will show up. And then, of course, you have your experience, which you can also, so it'll be position, company, description, you can fit in here as well.
What would you suggest for this? Like, I see you use it as a one-liner or two-liner. Do you suggest people write as long as they do their resumes in each part of their job description, or something that's easy?
I prefer easy because you want to give away enough to show value, and you also want to give away enough to spark curiosity. So here I just state what we do, right? And hopefully by the content that I do, people have enough trust and they're just like, okay, cool, I want to find out more. And they'll click the link and then, inquire with us.
I see. I see.
And then there's education here too.
Okay.
And various skills. And then there's recommendations. So people can give you recommendations on LinkedIn, which help boost your profile too.
So this is, you can ask people who've worked with you in the past, or people who are currently working with you as a colleague, client is also possible, right?
Yes.
And this one I think is interesting for business owners who might say, oh, I don't have I might have just stepped out of university and ran my own business, so I don't have previous employers to write recommendations for me. Well, it's not just restricted to that. Like, you can have your biggest B2B partner or your clients that have good profiles write you recommendation as a social proof.
Right. And it can be like colleagues you've worked with. It could be your manager. So options are endless to get recommendations. Okay. And then, if you've ever written publications, done speaking events, or won awards, that's stuff you can throw in there too.
Okay.
Right.
So now that you've built a good profile, you have your call to action, you've write out pretty good about section, and then you've updated everything. Everything looks professional. Now your homepage is ready. How do you drive traffic to this homepage? What are your strategies in driving traffic?
So there's three. I guess you'd call it the 3 C's.
Okay.
So there's content, there's commenting, and there's connecting.
Content, commenting, and connecting.
Right. So content is basically creating content. So creating, whether it's text, whether it's like a carousel post with graphics, whether it's a photo, it's a selfie, it's a photo of the team, things that you're doing, you're just putting out content. And you really need to have a think about who your target audience is, who like in a B2B setting, business to business, who is your target customer and who are the types of people you want to speak to. And that's where you want to tailor your content. What kind of stuff would be interesting for them? And that's where you start. And I can go into some strategies around that. The second one is commenting. So you want to engage with people in your network. You also want to engage in groups of industry folk, right? So this is where, because you're commenting and you're adding value to other people's content, you don't have to be posting content to add value. You can read someone's post, you can disagree with it or agree, and then add your value into that. And your network starts to see your comments too. So that's another way to drive interest. And the third one is to connect with people. So this is basically, so if you pay for LinkedIn's paid version, you can connect with all types of people. So if, let's say, I wanted to reach out internationally, I can filter people who work for a certain company size in a certain country, in a certain industry, with a certain title, and basically message them. Connect with them, and if they accept me because my profile looks good and I seem relevant, I can then start direct messaging them. And that's where you can start a lot of conversations with people who matter.
I see. So that's where the LinkedIn premium feature comes in. That's the benefit, where you don't have to just go searching yourself, but then you can use all these filter criterias to then identify your target profile that you really want to connect with.
Right.
Got it. So how do you build content? Let's start with the first C. How do you build good content on LinkedIn? Is it different from other platforms? What are the examples that you could show us that of a good content that gets good reach?
I'll just show this, right? So this is some of the data you can get within LinkedIn. You can filter by country, city. You can look at industries, company size, job functions, job title, and seniority.
Okay, so this is the premium feature.
This is the premium feature, and you can basically filter these people and connect with them. And, we talked about basically the strategy on LinkedIn, so the different pillars. So I'm going to go into like finding your niche, right? Okay. And I think when we look at a business, a lot of people will say, my target customer is, we get this a lot. My target customer is everyone. And if you're targeting everyone, you're targeting no one. Because it means your content and the way you speak is way too broad and it does not resonate with me. So I think what a lot of businesses can do if they have the data available is if we apply 80-20, so the Pareto principle, where 20% of your customers are probably bringing 80% of your revenue, is to really look at that 20%, but to go even deeper. And what is the 20% of the 20%? We can call it the power 4% here. And what is that subset of customers that bring the majority of the revenue for your business?
Okay.
And you have a look at them and you identify what are their pain points. Why do they inquire with you? And this is where you can start to understand, okay, like this particular he or she person is the type of person I want to speak to and direct my content to.
Okay. So you start first by going niche into, this is pretty much like then the 4% of your customer base that is actually paying for majority of your, like actually making the majority of your sales. And you go and understand them a little bit more, like what type of content might fit to their needs. So that's what you identify first before you even start posting.
Right. So let's just say I'm a company and I want to expand internationally, but my customers are all local. I mean, you could start there. Like, why did our local customers buy our products or services? what were their pain points, and then you might develop, a list. And then you would use that in your messaging or your content when you're reaching out to people on LinkedIn. Like, do you suffer from these pain points? Like, and you would also have that shine through in your content too.
But what if you don't want to, like, if you want to expand to a country where you don't have customer base already, how do you navigate that? How would you, if somebody came to you and sat here as a client and I'm hiring you to build up that content strategy, how would you navigate this challenge?
Well, I think one, you need to look credible. And you do that through your profile. And what you might also do is because you're really focusing down on a particular industry, you might have existing case studies of you helping customers in that particular industry.
Okay.
And that's something that you could put on your profile.
Okay.
It's also something that you can post about.
Okay.
And it's also something you might reference when you message people and be like, hey, we've helped so-and-so businesses solve these pain points before. Is it worth having a conversation?
Okay. So try to identify the pain point, what other business owners or the 4% here, what would they be interested in reading about or learning about?
Right.
And then that's your content strategy. Got it. Okay. Then how do you actually build the content?
There's all kinds of formats, right? Some people are comfortable recording video. Some people are happy just recording just their voice. Some people will just like post pictures or produce carousels, graphical content. So I think it's just starting with what you're most comfortable with and then to just get content out. And what tends to happen over time is that you get better, you get feedback on the content that you're developing, or you just get crickets, which is also a sign too, right?
Okay.
So yeah, and I think like general best practices apply. Like your content, you want to have a really good hook. So the hook is the first 1 or 2 sentences that you have at the start of your content. And, it needs to be like surprising, a bit shocking. It needs to drive curiosity. And I think if you can get the hook right, which grabs instant attention, that's already 70% of the work. Because what's going to happen is people are going to read that hook and then they're going to click see more, and that triggers intent engagement signals. And that really helps the content to go further.
Do you have an example of what a good hook might look like for people to understand and visualize?
Yeah, so this is some content I posted this morning. So recently, there was a leak in some of Google's API documents. And, this is my hook. It's, Google's algorithm leak is wild. So overall, like just hearing Google's algorithm leak is already like a, whoa, what is that, right?
I'm saying it's curiosity.
Wild. Yeah. And then I'm saying like, here are 5 things marketers, so that's my niche, need to know for now. Steal my notes.
I think steal my note is also a very good hook.
Yeah, it's like, I've basically done the work for them.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm saying like there's 5 things, so it's not too long of a read. I'm saying I'm calling out my audience. I need to say what you need to know for now, and then steal my notes, right? So that's my hook, and hopefully that entices people to go like, okay, what is that? I want to know.
Okay, I
want his notes, and then go through opening that.
Okay, so that's how you write a good hook. And then you, like, this is also from what you previously said, you first establish your target profile. So here you have a very clear target profile, which are marketers. And then you have your content built around marketers. And you're also going to something very specific like Google algorithm leak, which might not be which might be a topic that not everyone is interested. So you already disqualify them from the ones who are going to watch. And for those people who are interested in this topic, they're just going to engage.
Yeah. I mean, because I call them audience marketers, right? And because this algorithm leak is linked to search marketing, that should be on every marketer's radar because search using Google is, one of the most widely used, most effective marketing channels. So I feel like, is the right audience and then also industry linked content. Yeah.
And it established your credibility also in a way, because I see if we go down a little bit on this post, you build out a good PDF explaining this. And if any marketer actually steals your note and uses your PDF, like there's your profile picture there, your name, and this then helps you reach more and more people because then they might share it in their company Slack group or their Line group with other people.
Right.
And that gets your brand across.
Yeah.
Okay. Is using, do you usually use PDF? Like, is this something that you would recommend people do, build out slides or PDF document and then share it on LinkedIn? Is this something that Canva.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, I think Photoshop might be dead. But Canva is just so easy to use. Even for someone who is not technical, just having some basic skills on Canva can go a long way.
I would agree. Like we use Canva for all our content thumbnails and most of all of our LinkedIn PDF posts are Canva based. So you use Canva to build this material out. And okay, this is one format. Is there any other format that you would recommend people do? I know you write long forms also. Like, is there a way to do that? How do you use it? Like, what are your tips and tricks? Do you use AI to help you?
So, yeah, I really love using AI. And if you're not using AI, I think, you should get on that. I think this channel is all about AI too, right?
It's all about AI. Yeah, it's all about AI.
So AI is best used as a sandwich, right? So it's like you have your bread and the meat. You want to use it at the beginning to basically help you brainstorm, generate ideas, generate topics, structure, and flow. And then the meat is you creating the content yourself. Otherwise, these days I can spot AI from a mile away. And then you want to use it at the end. Is it the right tone, grammar okay, spell check? Could it be better? Tell me how it could be better. And you can use that to help supplement your content.
Okay. And when you say brainstorm here, you mean like you would just give it topic? Or like for example, Google algorithm leak, what should I write about? Is that something you would prompt, or how would you prompt it?
I use it as like a second brain.
Okay.
You can also use it as like a research assistant. So you can say, okay, go read, because I think the API documents are pages and pages, which these days you can use AI just to scan everything and just give you the information you need, right?
Okay.
So I think, so instead of just like sharing the API documents, what is it that people really value? And it's like your ability to go synthesize all of that information into a digestible format that makes it easier for people to consume. That is one way to basically produce content. Like you don't have to be an original creator and just think of original content. You can just take what's out there, but then just turn it into a much easier format to digest. And that's all you're doing. You're not copying, but you're simplifying it, and then you're making it easier for people to consume. And if you do that for a lot of industry-led content, that is one way to get a lot of followers too.
So content is one part, one pillar. You try to post something that gives you the perception of thought leadership in your industry. You can, like what you said, I think it's a very good example, right? Like take a topic that people already talk about. You don't have to invent new things, but it's just something that people have to deal with, your target persona, your 4%, and then turn it into content that you simplify and post about frequently. And you can make it visual with Canva so that it's easy to understand. And if you use PDF, like what you're using, add your brand, add your logo, so that when people download it to use it or share it within their company, your brand still lives across.
You got it.
Cool. That's the content strategy.
Yeah, and I'll just add that being vanilla does not work as well as being polarizing, which is you have a heavy opinion on one side compared to another. An example might be you're super for being self-employed and not working for a company, and that's your opinion.
Okay.
Basically it's much easier to build a tribe of followers when you have an opinion. And if you are just posting vanilla content or opinions where you're just in the middle of, that's not as exciting. So you want to try to be or pick a side on certain topics as well.
So add some flavor, have your own opinion about topics.
Yes.
It could be topics like Google algorithm leak. What do you think? Like, what do you think of Google's current standing point, or whatever that is related into the news cycle? Like, for example, in AI, currently people are bashing Google for what they're coming out with Gemini and all the responses that they're seeing. You could put your own take on the subject. It could be positive or negative, but instead of just reporting the news on LinkedIn, because reporting anybody can do, but opinion people then becomes interested in what you're talking about, in you specifically.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, news is news. It's very broad. It's for the masses. But if you can just say, do all of the work and then take all of the relevant information for your target audience and then just tell your target audience, hey, I did 2 hours of work. You don't need to do 2 hours. Here's the information you need to know. There's a lot of value in that.
So content is one pillar. Now you have a pretty good idea of how to build content. What is commenting and why is it useful? Like, how do you build good comments? Because most of the time when I see your profile come up, it's in the comments. Like, it's in the comment of somebody who I follow, and then you're commenting on that. And that's more regular than I would see your post, for example.
That's good feedback. I might comment less now then. So like, how do you comment? I mean, you don't want to comment for comments' sake, right? Like, oh, cool post, right? It's like, if you basically, because other people are going to see those comments, you want to add value or you want to give your opinion on something. So if somebody posts about work-life balance and you are super pro remote work 100%, you want to give your opinion on that. Because out there's going to be a lot of other 100% remote work supporters, and they're going to love you, right? And that's how you start to build a tribe.
So it's one way to actually build your content on LinkedIn, for example, because the way LinkedIn is programmed is if I follow Mark and Mark comments on somebody I follow also, then you see the post and then you see Mark very visible in the comment section. So it's one way to share your opinion. So don't use the LinkedIn auto suggest messages like kudos to you, congratulations, but then add some more flavor into those comments. Add your thoughts. Can be a longer comment, and I think people read those. Like, people prefer those to the one-liner where it says like, "Great post."
Yeah. If I was to give a tip, I would say between maybe 20 to 50 words max.
Okay.
Pick one point in the post you want to talk about, and then give your opinion or add something or disagree to it. Yeah.
And this helps you get reach also, right?
It shows authenticity because people read those comments and they can see who you are. And it also helps get your profile more visibility.
I see. So this is how you, other than just posting yourself, you can use comment as a way to drive traffic to your profile. And then what's the last one? Like, what's the third C?
Connections. So that's where you can... So I think if you don't pay for the premium version on LinkedIn, you can connect to people who are outside your network. So there's the first layer, which are all of my connections, i.e. friends, and we're connected. And then it's all the other people that they know. And then there's like a third layer, which is all the people that they know. So I think on the free version, you can only connect to like 2-3 layers outside. Whereas on the paid version, you can obviously isolate a very particular audience and then segment them and then message them whether they are in your network or not in your network. So that is one way to get more people to message you and visit your profile.
Any tips on connecting? Like I know that not everybody accepts connection, especially if they're very senior, if they're well known in their industry or a well-known figure. It's not always easy to start connecting with them. Any way that you've personally used that makes it easier for them to accept your connection?
Yeah, so there's this growing trend on LinkedIn where it's like, "Hi, I'm looking to connect with you," or "Hey, let's connect with each other on LinkedIn" as like the first message. So when you connect with someone, you can see like their profile, and then that person can also include a very short message.
A personalized invitation.
A personalized invitation, right? So that will show up, and a lot of people will, click that profile, visit them, and they can accept or decline that connection. So it's really important to. So I've tested two different styles, right? Which is one is just connecting straight up without a message, without a personalized invitation, and one with a personalized invitation. Very mixed results, but I tend to see that connections without a message tend to get more acceptance rates. Because I think a lot of people these days, they're really exposed to people saying like, "Hey, I saw your profile, really interesting. I want to connect with you." And then as soon as they connect, there's a message to them right after saying, "Hey, here's my company and this is what I sell. Can we talk?" And it's people almost associate that, "Hey, I'm looking to connect to like a sales message," right?
I see.
So if you connect with them without a personalized invitation, it's just like, "Oh, okay, I think, maybe it's someone I know, someone who referred me to them." And there's some curiosity about why this person wants to connect with me.
Okay.
So I think that's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah. And just don't sell, right?
Just don't sell in the first message.
Yeah.
Because some people do that. Like some people would personalize the invite and they would add a whole paragraph of sales pitch, what their company is, what they're looking to do. And I think that is like a very 50-50 odds. Like either the person is interested, like, "Oh, I was looking for this product," and then they say yes, or like they're like, "No, like this person is just gonna keep selling me. I'm just gonna decline."
Yeah, I mean, it's worth testing, but I think a lot of people who have been on LinkedIn for a long time are just, they know it's coming. And if you do it, you just lose credibility immediately. Because it's almost like us meeting for the first time. It's like, "Hey, I sell this. Do you want to buy?"
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to develop a relationship. And that's really what social selling is about, is asking questions, being curious, learning about them, complimenting them, and then eventually getting to, "Hey, what do you do? Here's what I do.
I see.
Is this relevant for you?"
I see.
Yeah.
So then on the last chapter of what we want to talk about is, so now you've built good profiles, you've built your social credibility, and you have content which gets reach, awareness, people are looking at your profile, you're somebody who can connect with other people. How do you convert these leads? How do you turn them from people on LinkedIn to customers or partners? You mentioned connecting and messaging. Like, can you take me through your thought process when you start to develop relationship to turn them into potential customers or partners?
So one particular approach, and sometimes this is where, we love AI, right? But you can use AI to basically scan someone's profile and ask AI to say, what type of buyer persona is this? What type of person? What are they interested in? What does their experience say about them? And you can basically get AI to give you a recommended approach, right? It might say this person is very analytical. So when you start talking about numbers, when you start trying to get them closer to some sort of sales meeting, they love numbers. So, maybe that's what you talk about.
How do you use it? I'm curious on the technicalities here. Like, how do you get AI to scan a profile? Like, what do you do?
You just copy all the text on their profile. I think LinkedIn, you can also download their LinkedIn profile to a PDF.
Okay.
And then you can upload that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So it's not scraping or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a little bit manual, but
Okay.
if you want to take a personalized approach, that
Got it.
can work really well.
Got it. Especially somebody who's updated their LinkedIn profile. Like you can see a lot. Like for example, your profile, there's a lot that's said in that profile that AI can help you analyze the persona of who Mark is, what type of content Mark might like.
And give you questions to ask that might pique their interest or
I see.
spark curiosity to engage.
I see. Okay. So you download their profile, you upload it into AI, ask it those type of questions. And then what next? Like, do you directly message them? Do you start by commenting first? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, I think it's just like a conversation, right? Acknowledge what they say, compliment them, ask a question, and then go through a series of those. And then, once, assuming they're still speaking with you, you can just drop a note saying like, by the way, really enjoyed chatting with you. Here's what I do. And, I really loved how you have these experiences, and I feel like I could have an impact on making these pain points better. Is that worth 30 minutes of your time over a call? Right? So it's just like an ask, and you're just trying to get them onto some sort of video call, typically.
Got it.
Or you grab their email.
Got it. So then if I paint a picture, then you could also start with commenting on their post so that they know who you are a little bit, and then
if they are posting.
And then you go into the direct message, but then talk about something else. Talk about something that they might be interested in, or they're thinking about, or that the AI recommended that this person likes to talk about before you even think about sales. Like that should be down the line.
Yeah. Exactly. You can talk about their experience, like the information you can see from their profile. It's like, maybe if, you have a common connection too, it's like, oh, we both know this person. You like a real conversation in real life, you're basically trying to find points of connection that you can talk about that connect both of you. Yeah.
Any tips like for people to be able to visualize, like what would you say, like if you normally connect with somebody on LinkedIn, like anything that you've recently done that can come to your top of mind?
So I'll share what I do. I connect with people. I introduce myself. I have a link to our website, and I say thanks for connecting. Now, that it's an extreme soft sell. And because what I want them to do, if my position, my title, what I do interests them, they will visit my profile. And if they visit my profile and they're still interested, they'll go visit the website. And then if they visit the website, there's all kinds of things we can do with ads to remarket to them. The ads that follow you around everywhere you go because you visited a website. Yeah. So that's my approach. I don't like to sell so much, but I know it's really worked for a lot of people.
Okay, so you just do it as a normal introduction. Here's who I am.
Here's who I am. Here's what we do. Here's our website. Thanks for connecting.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So there's still some sales there, but it's not hard sell. It's not.
Yeah, it's like go visit my website, and then if you're interested, you'll ask questions.
Yeah. So that's how you convert lead. Lastly, I wanted to just ask on a more personal note, like how have you used LinkedIn over the past like 4 to 5 years that you've been on the platform? What has it done for you personally, in terms of results that you can share with people? So if they're watching today and they're thinking, okay, everything sounds very interesting, but I'm still looking for more evidence to jump onto this platform. Could you give us that personal note?
Yeah, so look, I'm just showing some stuff on the screen here, but basically the way Primal works is we generate leads. So, we have a bunch of channels that create leads for us. We have organic search, paid, so these are just marketing channels. But you start to see when we started to interject LinkedIn outreach, you can see that big jump in inquiries that we started to have.
So outreach would be messages? Is that
Yes,
correct? Okay.
That's right. So it's messaging people, them coming to the site somehow, and because we can track people's journeys, we can attribute those back to interactions on LinkedIn.
Okay. So LinkedIn outreach has significantly boosted the traffic to your website.
Right.
And there's also this blue portion, which is inbound. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, outreach is where we've messaged people.
Okay.
So that's us messaging them, right? LinkedIn inbound is people who have come to our profiles and gone to our website and converted. So that's them coming to us.
So this is also grown pretty well. Like this is just like I would assume this is more interested traffic than even the outreach, because like this is them coming to your profile like a homepage, and they read through the stuff, they get to know you. You don't have to sell anything, and they click the link on your featured section or maybe on your job section, and then they go to your website to inquire. So over time, if you build up content, if you build up commenting, build up your awareness on your profile, then you would get more inbound.
Yeah, I believe it helps. I mean, we talk about how like advertising in the B2B environment and you know, if you're an SME business owner, you know, ads are commonplace now. Like if you're not advertising on
digital marketing.
Yeah, digital marketing. So it's just so normal. So if you're doing all of those things already and then you have a great profile, it's just another thing to amplify more awareness around you and your business. So you want to add this into your mix of different things that you do because they all support each other. Just doing this alone without, you know, other marketing aspects, it won't work as well. That's why you need to do everything together.
Very good. I think people have seen quite a bit now on LinkedIn to be convinced at least that this is a platform if you want to expand internationally to a different audience other than Thailand, or partner with bigger brands, because bigger companies are on LinkedIn, like multinational or big Thai conglomerates, they're on LinkedIn. Their executives are posting on LinkedIn. So if you want to start building relationships, partnering, hiring, LinkedIn is a good platform to go. Lastly, I would just ask like this leaving question, which is there anything that you would like to say or talk about that I might not have asked or might not have seen or know enough to ask about, that if I'm a business owner in today's day and age that I should know this? Like, is there anything that comes to mind?
A lot of people don't embark on a content creation journey, I believe, because they don't want to be out there. They might be shy, like me initially. And it's really hard to do that first post. And I think what I like to think about is, you know, what if you were to make it work and you were to build a following and you were to be recognized as an industry leader in a particular area and it helps you 10x your business, would that not be worth the effort and potential embarrassment of your first post to go through to then get started on this journey? And I just honestly believe, I think if you and you know, if you're a founder or CEO and you have a team to do things for you, what are the things that your team cannot do? And that's like putting yourself out there, representing the brand, being the face. And content is a way to do that successfully. And, you know, I would also add, I like the digital environment because I can get eyeballs, many eyeballs on content easily. If I go to a speaking event where there's only 500 people, sure, I get 500 eyeballs. If I go to a networking event, okay, there's maybe 50 people there. I collect some business cards, etc. If I post content and it goes well, I can get up to 50,000 people seeing that. So I would much rather spend my time producing content than doing those other events because the reach and awareness is so much larger. And that seems like a much higher use of your time, higher effectiveness. Example, a friend of mine, he runs a recruitment agency. One of his posts the other day hit 100,000 views. It was almost viral. And I think he has around 20,000 followers or something. And none of his posts ever reached that amount. And it was literally a dog on his dog on his back at a client meeting.
I think I saw that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You saw it,
Yeah.
right? And
I know who you're talking about.
yeah. So, you know, it's just little things like that can just bring so much awareness to you and your company. So it doesn't have to be expertise-led content. It can just
be fun stuff.
It can be fun stuff.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. I think we're also a testament of that. Like I think what we've built up so far with our content channel, like that has been our lead magnet for us. And I can say honestly, like without this, like our business wouldn't be getting this much interest without building this lead magnet. So content is really important in this day and age if you're a business owner. And you're right to say that like a CEO's job, once everything operationally is established, like your job is to sell the brand, sell the company. And what better way to do that than to start by selling your own personal story and getting people to know who you are, because people buy from people. So thank you very much, Mark, for educating us on how LinkedIn works and going in depth into a profile optimization, content strategy, and how you connect with people. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Alvin. I appreciate your time and this is amazing. Thank you.
ถ้าใครชอบเอพิโซดนี้แล้วอยากสนับสนุนเราเพิ่มเติมสามารถกดปุ่มซุปเปอร์แตงตรงนี้ได้เลยครับเพื่อเป็นสปอนเซอร์ให้กับรายการของเราขอบคุณมากครับ